Today's episode is brought to you by Trucking Hub. Now listen, if you're still bouncing between 5 different logins just to run your trucking business, you're already behind. Trucking Hub is built by a carrier for carriers, and it puts everything under one roof, whether it be dispatch, safety, maintenance, and even accountant and a driver app. Their dispatch runs on PC Miler and Copilot navigation, so the miles are right the first time. Now the ELD is FMCSA certified, tamper proof, and trusted since 2017. And if you want to keep it all in one lane, you can even roll in company phones, text and video, and fax backed by nationwide LTE. Bottom line, this is the kind of system that's you spend less time hopping and more time hauling. Plans start at just $29 per truck, no contracts, no hidden fees, and you can try it for free for 30 days. Check them out at their website and get your time back. Welcome to The Long Haul, the podcast dedicated to empowering small carriers and owner-operators to drive their business forward. I'm your host, Adam Wingfield, bringing you insights from industry leaders, real-world success stories, and strategies to help you navigate the road to profitability. Whether you're just getting started or looking to take your fleet to the next level, this is a show where trucking meets opportunity. So buckle up. It's time to go
Welcome
the distance.
Welcome back to The Long Haul, and today's guest is basically your freight-savvy friend who happens to break down truth bombs on TikTok and still has a real heart behind it. The one thing I can tell you is that she didn't come into trucking with slick marketing or a script. She came in from customs, moved into brokering, and turned her frontline experience into teaching tools you can actually use. Her TikTok is a mirror of her, honest, direct, and real. Whether she's calling out sketchy broker tactics or breaking down contract language in plain and understandable, digestible information, she sees the world from the shipper side, the broker side, and now the coaching side, where she's here to help you protect your authority, your money, and your reputation. One thing I can tell you about today is not to expect any fluff, just truth. She's going to help us reveal some real red flags, building out broker carrier relationships, and why creating real access for the next generation matters most. I can tell you today's episode has been one that I've been looking forward for a long time because when I first saw her on TikTok, I was like, wow. So I am so excited to be joined today with this discussion with none other than Annique Lesage. Annique, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. I am so excited to be on this particular episode. Like I was just telling I was talking to someone the other day and I was just going through your TikTok and it was just like, wow. And I'm not a TikTok person. I'm gonna say that.
Right.
This is the thing. TikTok is not my thing. But
No.
the way you deliver your information, and we're gonna get to that in a minute, but the way you deliver your information is so authentic and it's so real, and I think it's so much needed. So I'm really excited about today's episode and really excited about our conversation today.
I have to say that I'm very excited. When I first came across your content and the things that you put out, it's something about the way that you really just make things a straight line and very simple is very tickly to my brain because I'm more of I need a comparison model in order to understand solutions, because if it worked here, then it could probably work there. So I've been a big fan of yours, but last week, a friend of mine, her husband, he likes to send me stuff in the freight world, say, I'm hip, I know what you do.
Yeah.
And he sent me an article in Yahoo Finance, and I looked at who wrote it, and I was like, oh, that's Adam Wingfield. I'm going on his podcast next week. And he was like, oh, excuse me.
Oh man, that's so cool.
That was a cool moment.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. So let's back. Let's forget about the freight part. Let's back up a little bit. Let's go all back. You started off as a shipper handling customs. Like before that, take us back before all of the freight stuff and what really kind of got you to the freight and the fun stuff as it is today.
Well, my degree is in biology, and I never used it a day in my life because I realized that after I got the degree, I work in a lot of definites.
Yeah.
And in biology, things are always changing, always evolving.
Yeah.
So with things like math and even freight and things, that are more finite and have a start and a solution, and very task oriented, that was better for me. I learned later on. So things have changed since then. I wouldn't say that I'm so task and goal oriented in that way. I kind of enjoy being able to pivot in the moment and find solutions. I'm really good with that. But as somebody starting out in this industry, just working on LTL and then also containers coming in from Europe, that started becoming a little bit more, yes, I have a definite outcome, but there's so many other variables that I get to use my spidey senses on. And in truth, converting that over to a personal side of me, that was a huge exercise in me learning how to trust my instincts and learning how to trust my own eyes and ears and know when something just doesn't sound or feel right. I trust myself more today than I have ever trusted myself in my life. And a lot of that is attributed to this industry and doing this work.
So let me ask you something. So you're the biology piece, and I know from that, just looking at your content, you're very analytical. You're very
Mhm.
very well calculated. Everything is A plus B equals C makes sense. So that
Mhm.
really shows up, right? It shows up in your content. Would you attribute like that whole piece to connecting the dots on the freight side, or is it something else that really drives your educational background within the industry?
I would say, as far as everything being concise, A, B, whatnot, and this is a left turn for you, but it comes from being a woman in this industry, and it comes from always being doubted, always just being kind of poo-pooed or underestimated. And you put an idea out, you put a solution out, and it's doubted right off the bat.
Mhm.
So not only do you have to bring that A game of this is what we're going to do and this is why it's going to work, you have to bring the receipts and you have to bring the proof. So I learned pretty early on that just because words are coming out of my mouth and they seem to make sense in the air, there are going to be a lot of people that are not going to take it at face value. And some of them are just because of biases, and others are because they've been burnt too many times before by overconfident people in this industry that like to overpromise and underdeliver. So that was twofold. I had to cater to the doubts and the mistrust that has festered in the industry over time and caused it to be kind of what it is, this microcosm that it is right now, but also kind of show my chops a little bit that I know what I'm talking about and I put the work in behind it.
So you started off in the shipping side, handling customs. What was that like?
Um, that was fun. That was a lot of Babel and Rosetta Stone. Um, it was frustrating because nothing ever goes as planned. A lot of storage, a lot of just a bunch of numbers that I'd never heard of when I started out. Um, Missing that would cause so many delays and so much more money. And truth be told, every aspect of the freight industry that I have ventured into, I was horrible at in the very beginning,
Mhm.
and it costed a lot of money. But I learned a lot. And there's a saying that a smart person is going to learn from their mistakes, but a wise person is going to learn from other people's mistakes. And I dig that a lot because you never make real connections with people by only sharing you're perfect. You have to show where you've stumbled along the way. And the right people, the wise people that will have lasting power in this industry are going to take those lessons and say, where can I apply them to what I'm doing right now? And that A makes me a better coach and B makes me a better service provider for my customers.
So you went from the custom side, you was like, "Man, there was some mistakes over there. I need to take a little break." You took a break, family grew, you wanted to go back into the workspace, and you said, "You know what? This whole brokerage thing, it intrigues me. I'm interested in it." What really led you to that? What led you to say, "Okay, I'm gonna go from the shipper side to more kinda like the in-between side?"
I enjoyed the conversations that I had with the broker that was being used with the company that
Ah.
I was on the shipper side.
Ah,
I liked how there were so many legalities and regulations and little things that you had to follow. I liked the boundaries. I was very attracted to the boundaries and the black lines that you couldn't step out of in the industry, because that feels a little safe while you're also taking risks. And it's a hustle when you're first starting
it
out. The
is.
whole thing is a gamble. And um, when you see it that way, and I didn't see it this way in the beginning, which is another mistake of mine. When you see it as a gamble, you realize that most of the time when people trip up in that area, it's because now their feelings are involved in it. Now it's not about numbers, it's not about rules, it's not about any of that. Now it's I need to. It's almost like a worth thing. Like I can't be proven wrong. I have to keep on going, and you get further in the hole with that. So learning your limitations, knowing when to personally pull yourself back a little bit and say, maybe I'm going about this the wrong way. Let me shift here because I don't want to get into more trouble. I don't want to make knee-jerk reactions. That makes you a little bit smarter, and that allows you to grow and do better in the future. But the people who are just over promising, giving rates that they don't know,
Yeah.
don't have the data to back up, and don't have the conversations and relationships to substantiate, that is what gets people into a lot of trouble. So when I came back into the logistics industry after the break, I was learning all of this, and I had only had the stage appearance from this other broker,
Mhm.
and this other broker made it look seamless and made it look like a well-oiled machine, and we all know that that's not the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she was so good that any problems that came up were never my problem.
Right.
So in a small way, I was kind of sold a dream when I came in, because I thought that it was going to go all this same way that this broker did it. And then you learn about the blisters and the achy joints and the late nights and all of that in the background. And most people, smart people, would shy away and run away screaming. And I went headfirst into that burning building.
And the thing is that, you thought, hey, you know what? This is going to be supplemental to a household income. It's not going to be main thing. But you mentioned something that was kind of, it caught my attention, where it's like where it grew, it was a lifesaver for you. What do you mean by that?
So I, on the personal end, was in a abusive marriage. And so to just kind of compound it a little bit, when I wasn't working, it was a problem because money was tight and I was always the breadwinner. But when I was working, that was a problem because I wasn't home taking care of the household. And, not enough was getting done and there weren't enough hours in the day. So now I come into this industry and I'm starting to make some money, not realizing at the time that it's just momentum that grows. When you are doing it the right way, it's boundless. So I really had no idea at the time the potential that I had. All I knew was that this was helping us a great deal. But the person that I was married to saw that kind of potential financial independence as a threat. So I'm working, I'm out of the home, our bills are paid, everything is fine. We actually have like extra to go on vacations and things like that. But there's still anger, there's still resentment there. And the activating incident that got me out was the day he came home. I'm working, everything is fine, everything's taken care of. Dinner is made, and I'm still able to work. Yet he's still angry, and he takes my electronics, the tools of my trade, and he crushes them. We had a balcony off of our bedroom, and he tossed my computer off the balcony. And that's when it hit home to me. There's always just that one thing that makes you, that one puzzle piece that brings the picture together. I thought to myself, he knows that if I can pay my own way, then I don't need him. So he's trying to keep me from being able to do that. So that was the first step. And that was the beginning of like a week long activating event in which he tried to kill me. Like he had his hands around my throat, and I read that if somebody is able to put their hands around your throat, it increases the chance of them killing you by 700%. So I knew I had to go, and it was going to be hard, and it was going to be the struggle bus, and I was going to have our kids, and that was going to be tough. But I had to choose my heart, and I chose the one that was going to keep me alive and safe and healthy. And it was a gamble itself, but it was a gamble that paid off because, as it turns out, I'm good at this and I value it. And that's my personal investment in this entire industry being a success. That's what I mean when I say I owe my life to it. Because if it wasn't for having that option and having this role, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know when I could have been able to leave. I don't know how easy that would have been. And I don't know if I would have gotten out in time.
Just shout out to you just for number one for sharing your story. I know that that's personal, but at the same time, I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's probably inspirational to a lot of people that have been struggling with the same things. And then when you said you figured out you were good at this, well, I'll tell you, you're damn good at it. I'll tell you what really kind of brought me to that. We're getting ready to queue up a video that really drew my attention, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm not TikTok. I used to think TikTok was all for silly dances and BS and all that other stuff. I never thought of it as a platform for like really good long form, education. And then I came
Mhm.
across this video right here, and this video that we're getting ready to share really was like, she knows a little something, something, something. So let's go ahead and cue this video up. And this is what really got me over to really kind of say, you know what? I need to listen more of Small World Annique.
So there have been recent videos of mine in which drivers are talking about cheap freight and not taking cheap freight, and certain people lowering the rates of things across the board. And my response has always been, there's no cheap freight. There's only bad negotiators. If you are just thinking about the rate of something, then you are absolutely cheapening what it is that you do, and you are incredibly short-sighted. First off, if a broker posts a rate on a load board, you and I both know full well that that load doesn't go for that rate. There's negotiations back and forth. Just like if a driver posts a rate per mile on the load board, usually that's not what they're taking a load for. So if you're looking at that rate and you're thinking, it's cheap, you're really doing a disservice for yourself, because that is usually the starting. That's the range. It's not the exact rate that it's going to go for. Basically, closed mouths don't get fed. But here's another way that you do yourself a disservice and loads become cheaper without a broker even naming a rate, or even if you're not even going through a broker, if you're going direct to shipper. Have you negotiated the terms of payment for your services? The cheapest capital you can use in your business is your own liquid funds, your own cash. Everything else becomes more and more expensive, which means that it takes away from the rate of what it is that you're doing. So for example, if you take a load direct from shipper, if you take that load and you allow them to go 45 days without paying you, and you're just kind of letting that skate by, but you're using credit cards for everything else, then the interest that you're paying on that credit card for what you could have used in cash by getting better payment terms with that shipper, that's cheapening that rate. If you're dipping into savings in order to give your shipper or give a customer a grace period on their bill to you to pay you just because you want to preserve a relationship, first off, you're enabling them to be delinquent, and second off, you're losing the juicy interest that you could be making off of that money sitting in savings. That cheapens that freight. Communication is the remedy to this, okay? Make sure that everything is going well throughout the load. Check in, make sure they're still happy and that you're on time. Once the load delivers, give them the exact in and out times. Make sure it's written and initialed on your POD or the BOL. Once they have that, send the invoice. Make sure that they are aware that everything is laid out. The invoice and confirmation match. Make sure there's not going to be any OS&D, anything like that. And then a simple question. What are your terms? Factoring is going to cheapen that freight too, if that's your choice. But if you ask them what their terms are, if there's any way that they could pay you within 10 days, because everything is on the up and up, then why aren't you asking that? You can make that load way more valuable if you communicate a lot better. If you improve your communication and your check-ins and make sure all your paperwork and everything is exactly how it should be, because that will eliminate any long pauses or delays in them paying you for any miscommunication. And it'll save you the interest that you would be earning in a savings account and the interest that you would be paying by living off of credit cards while you wait for that one customer to cut you a check. So don't sit there and yell about cheap freight if you're allowing your customers to use you as their bank. Stop it. Have a great day.
Annique, what I will say this is that number one, this video should have 100 million views, and the reason why I say that, and I'm being honest, like the type of dialogue and really seeing both sides of the table is very, very important. That's number one. Secondly, your entire profile on TikTok, when I was doing my research on you, your entire TikTok is just like this. It's nothing
Yeah.
but education. And it's not like, so you know the cat and mouse stuff between, brokers suck, carriers suck. That's different. From the broker side, you take a different approach. So when you look at broker carrier tension, how much of it is just bad communication versus, hey, we got bad brokers all over the place and bad carriers all over the place? What is your opinion on that?
Oh, wow. That is, I wouldn't even be able to put it in this or that. And a big problem for me is you ask me a question like that, and I sit there for a second and think, and the response always starts with, well, there was once this meteor, because it goes so far back. It could go back to regulations, and then it could go back to the first broker to ever exist, and then the first broker to ever lie. And the thing with people who conduct business on more of an emotional level is that they're always going to project their experience onto what it is that's happening right now.
Fair enough.
100%. We all do it. There's like the things that are provable in the court of law, and then there's the things that you have projected your experience on, which now, for some reason, because you've told this story to yourself over and over again, are just as reliable to you as fact. And in one way, it keeps them safe because it keeps them from getting burned again. But it also creates their own little prison cell of how far they allow their business to go. And with more successful people, or maybe more perceived successful people, shouting things over and over again, it creates an echo chamber. And you mentioned, you hate TikTok, or you're not a TikToker. I'm not a LinkedIner, but you might be bigger there. I'm bigger here. And it's all because of algorithm. So if one person comes on and makes a video about this broker screwed me over, and then there's a bunch of comments of, yeah, me too, and then listen to what this one did. Well, you know what? You gave that app attention. And now that app is going to continuously give you the things that caught your attention and kept it there because they don't want you to leave. And when all you're wanting is confirmation bias of what the issues are, you're going to find it, and it's going to be fed to you.
That's right.
And if you are not smart enough, or if you are too emotional to figure that out for yourself, then you will be way too deep in it to even consider that you might be wrong. It's easier to lie to someone and have them believe you than it is to tell someone that they have been lied to and that they bought it. They're a fool. They're going to defend themselves to the end. And that is a key indicator of a lack of accountability, because your immediate thing is to get defensive and deny it and point the finger back. And what are you trying to deflect from? Why are you putting this on me? You're just trying to hide what it is that you do. And there's more than one ways of being transparent. There's more than one ways of getting that transparency that has nothing to do with a rate, has nothing to do with what a shipper is paying a broker. There's so much more transparency out there that should be focused on and should be required for drivers in order to conduct their business in a successful way. If all you're worried about is the amount of money that a shipper is paying a broker because you don't know, then that tells me that you haven't taken the control and the reins of your own business to get the tools and get the technology that can give you that information of what things are paid. We have the technology. In this economy, we still have the technology for it. And at this point, it's a choice that you don't want to know. At this point, it just confirms to me that you don't really want to know. All you really want is a common enemy. And as long as there's that common enemy, then you don't have to look in the mirror and take accountability for what you're doing that hinders your own business. So just like when I'm coaching people or even making my content, I'll share my fails just as much as I'll share my successes, because the failures have to be normalized. If all you're doing is paying attention to people's success, then you are absolutely discrediting all of the failures that it took them along the way to get there.
100%.
Because that success is a culmination of so many failures and so many lessons learned. And people get into business or get into this industry thinking that it's a catapult right to that success without realizing that they have to prepare for all the failures along the way. People come into this industry and come into business without even an exit strategy. They don't even know how they're going to get out of it once they've had enough of it. That should be one of the first things that you do when you start a business. Okay, this is what I'm going to do when I get in. How am I going to get out? And what are all the bad scenarios that could happen that would make me have to get out? And other coaches, other brokers that come on and talk about their business are doing an immense disservice to the drivers and other business people and other aspiring brokers that follow them by not saying, this is how I failed. I fell flat on my face in that. I made so many mistakes. I lost so much money. I almost got fired. I lost customers. I had to gain them back. Tell us how you did it. Tell us about the nights that you were up in the middle of the night, not knowing how you were going to make it, and what you came up with in that desperation, because that's the real success story, is your sleepless nights and, the days that you were not making any money or losing money, where you had to choose, what you were going to feed your kids and if you were going to go a day without. That's the true success story that people need to hear, because the drivers are out there struggling because of so many factors in this storm, and all they're seeing is other people eating and doing fine. And it's a hotbed for resentment. It's a festering ground for it. And they're not understanding why they're not there when everybody else is. But they're also not ready to ask if it's something that they're doing wrong.
And that's really, really important that you hinged on that. And then, one of the things that I think that is really, really good is that when you talk, not only do you talk about the good and the bad, but you hit it head on too. So like you don't back away from a negative comment, or you don't back away from somebody taking a shot at it, because you wanna highlight that, because you want to seek to understand it in the conversation. And a lot of times in
Mhm.
conversations, people only want to hear what's in their own head. You went
Yeah.
from, where you were from on the shipper side, to being an agency owner of Small World Ventures, having that partnership with that Armstrong Transport Group. You're managing sub agents, you're doing all these things, and you're also coaching at the same time. And that really takes an initiative, and it takes some really, and then you do yoga too. You're a yoga coach too. So like you
Yeah.
got a lot going on. And when you
I'm busy.
but when you think about it, you spend that time coaching drivers on how to sell themselves better, how to show up better, right? You're getting in and you're really, really serious about that. From your seat, what's one thing carriers consistently get wrong when approaching brokers?
Um, they approach brokers when it's just for a load and they're not approaching them about future business or partnerships. But if they're just approaching about a load, um, there's a huge sense of entitlement. There's a huge sense of, you wouldn't be able to do this without me. forgetting that they're the ones that are approaching a broker about their freight. So you wouldn't have this freight without me. So here we are. I get emails whenever we're negotiating about one of my shipments, and there's always one that says ready truck now. And I say, it's a ready load now. We're in the same position.
Yeah.
So if we're on the same ground, same, standing playing field, then who is more entitled than the other and who is more leveraged than the other? If we are the same, you need a load, I need a truck, then any other industry out there will be like, cool, let's collab. Let's work it out. Let's team up.
Yeah.
Instead, it's what are you going to do for me? And I just made a video about it this morning because it just happened this morning. I put feelers out last night because I have a shipment for today. I put feelers out to some of the drivers that I have for this type of lane. And I said, just let me know if you have capacity, if you want it, and we'll talk. So one of them responds with, what are you going to give me for it? And I woke up a little salty today, and that just like right there, that one thing. So I responded back with attention. I'll give you attention. And I was like, oh, he's going to be so mad. I just lost. I lost somebody, but he laughed at it because he knows how I am.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, why are you approaching your business that you are saying is failing in every other aspect with, what are you going to give me for it? No.
Honestly though, like, just let's be honest from a twofold perspective. Number one, a lot of people get into this business and forget it is a business.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you have a lot of people that start trucking companies that, to no fault of their own, and then to some fault of their own, for not establishing the business first. And when you look at it, when you take a Schneider truck or a JB Hunt truck and you put it next to a Small World Ventures truck, it's probably it's got the same amount of tires, got the same engine, takes the same fuel, probably got the same crack on the windshield. But the thing that makes it different are its key differentiators. Just like you talked about it, what makes you different? What sets you apart? What can you do for me as a partner that I can't get somewhere else? But what you mentioned was the thing that really kind of burns really into my side is the entitlement, right? I got a truck, I got a trailer. You need me, I don't need you. Well, if that's the case, pick up the telephone, knock on doors, go do the things that you need to do, and don't call me. And that's the thing that really kind of gets down to the hey, you know what? Let's stop playing the BS games. Let's stop coddling the feelings and, hey, I'm in my mind, and we're gonna go to Capitol Hill and we're gonna protest against brokers. Nah, let's build businesses. Let's go back. Let's take steps back first before you even buy that truck. You talked about an exit strategy, and I very much agree. But you know what I'm gonna tell you? There's a lot of times there's no entry strategy.
Right.
I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna buy a truck. I'm just gonna go to the dealer. So we're partnered with a very, very large truck sales company, and I can't tell you how many times that they'll tell us that, like, they'll sell a truck, and they just be like, oh my God, it's probably coming back.
There's a lot of failures in so many realms of the industry. The salespeople of the trucks, the salespeople of the trailers, the mechanics, all of it. There's no other industry that you could walk into a bank and say, I want to take out a business loan for this venture. Anytime I've ever done anything like that for any of my ventures, they've always asked, what's your business plan? Do you have it written down? We need to see it. How long have you been doing this? Why are financial institutions not doing that for a truck when it is meant for business purposes? That is an investment in a business. And they're just treating it like another auto loan. And so there's a lot of lack of accountability there in all aspects. And let's just be real, it feels predatory. It is predatory.
Absolutely.
And I feel that it is taking advantage of people that don't know any better. And because they're going to make so much money in the end off of interest. Are you buying this truck with a 580 credit score, hoping that you're going to make so much money and build that credit score back up? and be the next JB Hunt or be the next Mercer. Is that what you're hoping for? Because the difference between a hope and a dream and a goal is a plan. So why are you not bringing that to the bank with you? Because maybe then you can negotiate a better rate. Maybe you could get a different kind of loan that is not going to give you such a personal hit of 17, 19, 29% interest, because now it's used for a different purpose. So now it's classified differently and you're going to get a different interest rate. Why are you not thinking that far ahead? And the same reason that is causing them so much harm in starting their business is why they're failing or not being successful in approaching shippers, because they're approaching them as a driver. And that's the key problem with the discord between brokers and drivers, is that drivers think that it's the same job. We know we are not driving. We don't have CDLs, and our shippers know that. Our shippers know that we don't have CDLs. They just want somebody to manage it. So you are looking at us as competitors when we are salespeople. We're not driving. The people at the truck stop parked next to you that you want to team up with and go to Capitol Hill with and fight for a minimum rate, those are your competitors.
That's your competition.
Correct. We are the threshold that can get you to that shipper, because obviously they've made their decision and they're going with brokers. So why are you not working with us? Instead, you're going to go to a shady, non-regulated dispatch service that's going to take, really, actually, they're the ones that take money from you, not a broker. And you're going to rely on them and trust them. And then when they turn out to be double brokers, because that word broker is in there, now all brokers are bad and shady and thieves and liars and everything. Nobody that is a broker, a true job title broker, that behaves and operates that way has the kinds of shippers that you want on a steady, ongoing basis. If that's how they're running their business and if that's how they're operating, they don't have long-time shippers. They don't have contract freight. They're maybe spot market, and they're going to be gone in 6 months. So why are you hitching your trailer up to a broker like that?
Well,
that tells me that you don't want to be in business longer than a year.
But I mean, that's to me, it's like you're just really, it's like the game of whack-a-mole. Nothing is for a long-term plan, a long-term strategy. One of the things that, we train our carriers on is to really truly understand that there is a time and place for spot market activity. There's a time and place for broker relationships. But there's some that like live and die by wake up, sundown or sun up, DAT, truck stop, whatever, whatever your preference is, but that's their strategy without an exit. Like you talked about the exit strategy, right? So like if my only strategy is to, man, these brokers are driving the rates down, like that's not a strategy. So like that brings me to the partnership piece, and it's just so funny. Like, and I'm sure you see it all the time. You got a load posted on the load board. You get a call, and immediately, as soon as you answer the phone, there's no, "Hey, how you doing?" or "Hey, hope you're doing well." It's calling on load 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going from Chicago to Raleigh. It's still available. Like I don't even have relationship in my voice. I'm coming to this phone call with you as a broker. I'm coming to this phone call like, hey, I just need to get this load so I can move to the next one. I'm not even coming with you with just like, you know what? All right, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna finesse this a little bit. I'm gonna try to see what I don't have none of that. I'm just going straight for the kill. And so when we talk about partnership for you, what does partnership look like for you? How can a 1 truck or 3 truck operation build a broker relationship that lasts more than just one load?
So, for example, I do have my contract freight, and I also have spot market freight. And usually, the spot market freight helps the drivers that I have that are on my contract freight. So, I have a normal lane that goes from around here in North Carolina to Texas. It's usually 3 times a week that I get it. And sometimes I have like an extra or a one-off, but I have my favorites. You've done a load for me. You've been happy with how I managed it. You were happy with the rate. I was happy with your service. They were my customer. You treated my customer like my customer or like your own customer. And you treated their customer like your own customer. We treated everybody really well. So now you're going to be a favorite. Anytime I have this, I'm reaching out to you, but you can kind of count on it being a few times a week. So knowing I have that regularly, then I have the spot shipment. I had it from Pennsylvania to North Carolina, coming back down here. One of the drivers that did the North Carolina to Texas was in the area in Pennsylvania. He had a load that brought him up there. And I knew also that the load from Pennsylvania delivered the next day, and there would be another lane from North Carolina to Texas. Mm-hmm. So I said, hey, I see you're here. So if you take this, you're going to deliver it to this place. They're going to offload you and then immediately load you up, and you're going to go to Texas. How do you feel about that? You like these two rates? I've just routed a driver for pretty much a week at this point. Mm-hmm. So letting us know where you are, letting us know where you want to go, letting us know what days you need off. I keep the favorites that I have. And anytime I have something or anytime something is moving, they're my first people that I contact. So I don't live on a load board. Most of the time, if it's something that is like last minute that just came up, like an extra one, I will keep it on a load board just in case I need recovery right away.
Please say that
it's
again.
Just
Please say that again. Please say that again for those who live and die by the load board, that run their businesses off the load board. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you just dropped a truth bomb that needs to be multiplied by 105,000. You don't put your best freight on the load board.
No.
You don't want to, and you don't have to, because you built relationships with a set of carriers that you can rely on.
Yeah.
So from a business perspective, in your opinion, and this might strike a chord, broker transparency is a big push.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big push because obviously there's been an evaporation of trust over time since the Motor Carrier Act was established. And that evaporation of trust, whatever the reason behind it, which I have my own, beliefs behind the reasons behind that. But you just made a good point. You just said, hey, I don't put my best freight on a load board. So why should I have to tell you, Mr. Stranger, what I'm making off of my rate for you to be able to conduct your business?
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's currently bidding season. And so I've just gotten done round one of a bid. Round two is coming up in a week. I'm going to have another 2 weeks with that round two. Once that's done, they have to evaluate. They have to go through awarding. They don't award until they send an email with everything that you bid, and you have to verify it and sign for it. And there's your contract. And then it goes live maybe a month later. So that is now 3 months of investment that I've put into this freight. And before that happened, before I got invited to that bid, I sold my butt off. I had to prove myself. Most of the time, brokers will have 1 or 2 off shipments that they do for a customer to prove how they do things or show how they do things, show that they can actually move it for the rate that they quoted without any kind of surprises. And they get to at least have that little audition to prove it. With contract freight, they're not moving anything with you unless you have that contract. So everything that you do, all the sales that you do with that kind of freight is all based on how well you can sell with your words and what your MC number looks like. They don't even ask for references. It's just like, all right, give us the best elevator pitch that you have. Mm-hmm. And if it's good, then it will start a year's worth of courting and onboarding and follow-ups and how was your kid's birthday and all of that. You're looking at a year and change investment in this customer. You know them, you know what their requirements are, you know it like the back of your hand. You're required to. Because you make one mistake, you lose that contract. And so now you come to a load board and a driver contacts you about a load from that contract, and they're saying, I want to know what you're being paid for it, yada, yada, yada. If you want to know, go a year and a half, court them, do everything that I just did, and then you'll know. Get your own direct freight, and then you'll know exactly what the rate is. But you're not going to discredit all of the work that I've done over the last year and a half, all of the time I spent, the late nights getting to a deadline. You're not going to discredit all of it or minimize it because you don't know how to negotiate. And you think that money is left on the table. If you think money is left on the table, go get it. Because what that tells me is that you're not a go-getter. What that tells me is you're just kind of taking whatever anybody wants to give to you, and you're not asking or telling what your rate is. You don't even know what your rate should be. And somebody is not giving you the tools. Somebody did you a major disservice by not giving you ideas or options or things that they know. They've been gatekeeping a lot of information because, again, the people at the truck stop next to you are your competitors. Do you think that they want you to go after their freight by enticing it and letting them know what the rate is on it? Oh, we hear all these people talk at the truck stop and this is so cheap. Of course, they're going to say that because if they say, oh, this is a great load, I'm getting $5 a mile. Oh, cool. Where are you coming from? Where'd you get that from? That's your competitor. So of course you're going to downplay it. Oh, it's not that great. You don't want this. You don't want that. Don't even bother. I'm just doing this to get to my real stuff over there. Find out for yourself by putting on a suit and tie, park your truck, get some business cards, beat feet, count rocks or mailboxes, and get it yourself. But don't go there with the entitlement that you come to a broker with. Don't do that because you're going to get the door slammed in your face. Don't come as a truck driver, come as a business person. Come with a plan and come with solutions to the problems that they have and not just a lower rate.
What do you say to the people that say, hey, when I know the rate, or if I know what you got paid on the load, then I'll be able to negotiate better?
What I say is that I am not being paid to drive a truck. I'm being paid to manage this shipment. So you don't get to determine what that value is to a shipper. They're the ones that determine what the value is in somebody else managing it for them so that they have time opened up to complete other tasks that have nothing to do with loading a truck. That is invaluable to people. And so I can tell you what it is a shipper is paying for the load. That's for the entire thing. What you're getting paid is the part of it being driven and your truck. Okay. So if it's not what is suiting you, it's not making you any money, you can say no. You are not drafted into trucking. This is not the load for you. And if it's something that you really like, and a lane that gets you where you want to go and you're making money off of it, why do you need to know what the shipper is being paid for it? Because maybe now I'm worth it because I offered it to you. And now you see the value in me as a broker that my shipper sees in me because I'm managing it for them.
The thing is that, and it again, I'm as neutral as it comes, and I say neutral with respect to my own ability to have my own opinion. I've been in this industry 25 years. I've seen both sides, and I'm an objective thinker. I want to make sure that people see both sides before just drawing themselves and drafting themselves to their own conclusion. But the truth of the matter behind it from the perspective on the broker side and the carrier side is that one doesn't exist without the other on either way. Like you have to have a connection. There's a
Mhm.
partnership. But for so long, and I'm not going to say forever because it wasn't like that. Back in the day, it was much more personable, it's much more relationship build. And I have my own opinion. I think social media and COVID and all that stuff kind of made people socially distant as people, and then now all of a sudden we hate each other and we just hate each other more. It just goes from that standpoint. But you partner with events like Broker Carrier Summit. You partner with tools like Truck Parking Club, and your focus as a broker is different, right? Your focus is on the partnership piece, and I think that that's the thing that really was resounding. Do you feel that with everything that's going on, do you feel that it is up to the broker side, such as yourself, to take the extended journey to repair the relationship in order for us to be able to move forward? Or do you think it's something that's just beyond reconcilable repair
I think that um, the enemy of my enemy is my friend,
all the time?
and all the time.
All the time.
And when we realize that we have a common enemy, then that's what's going to get us to collab. Because it's not just drivers that have this stigma against brokers. I mean, the brokers have this stigma against the drivers too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Both of them, right? And so, barring going to mediation for days, the next best thing is a broker carrier summit or something like it. And hopefully we see more of them along the way where you can have dialogue, because it's really easy for a troll to come into my comments and say all the things that they say, from constructive feedback about brokers and genuine concerns, versus the comments that are made about my body or my teeth or me being a girl or get back in the kitchen or whatever. And some of them are really disgusting, some of them are hateful, and some of them are outright dangerous. I don't even give those attention. But it's so easy to do that because you don't have face to face in real time.
100%.
You don't have the reaction. You don't have the little wince. You don't have the, what did you mean by that? You don't have that. So there's an automatic, pardon of accountability, because you can just drop it and go, close the app, out of sight, out of mind.
Hide behind a fake profile picture.
Hide behind a bunch of numbers.
Yeah.
And user this or whatever. Hide behind all of that. Fake name, backup account, all of it. I have blocked so many people that use my content or just rage bait with it because they're just not ready to face facts. So I block them, and then they make backup profiles just so that they could still follow me. So now you're rage following me. But I'm like, well, maybe you'll learn something still. But I think that events like Broker Carrier Summit provides the face-to-face where now you actually have to hear the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Because you're not just typing it. It's not just there in some field, 137 characters or less. Now you actually have to use your communication skills, and you have to see how that affects people in real time.
Yeah.
And you also get to see it sinking in when you have a good point. And you get to see them say, oh my God.
You're right. I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah.
But you know what the thing is though? What it also does too is because a lot of people, I believe, hide behind Chat GPT these days. You'd be so surprised on how many people that comment on your content that when you engage back, those comments that you're engaging with, they had to go into Chat GPT and prompt say, "Hey, go respond to this one because this one," because they don't have
what
that.
Do you say to a woman who blah blah blah? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you don't have that intellectual capability to actually engage in those conversations. You're a lot better person than me because I'm gonna tell you something. I have a very exclusive rule, like when it comes down to access to me in terms of blocking and things like that. I handle trolls a lot differently, and I had to be careful because obviously I'm from the old school. I'm from the school like, hey, you know what? I was of the lucky generation. I'm the last generation that existed before social media and really
Mhm.
knew what that was like, where you didn't have that ability to just come off of a stranger and just go in like the way that they go in. And I think a lot of it, I have to be honest with myself, a lot of it is people trying to get attention, garner attention. Some people just trying to get out of their skin. And you got people, some people just hatred. Like you got people that really just hate on you. No matter what you say, you
Right.
gotta look at it from that standpoint too. And I just admire that. And you built a strong voice online on TikTok. I know you're building the Instagram side too, and in LinkedIn. Why is it so important for brokers and carriers alike to be visible and not just operational? Because you're visible, like you out there in front of people, like you're not just behind the scenes, like tendering loads. You out in front of people saying, "Hey, check this out." Like you're visible. Like why is that so important?
Because the idea, at least on my end of things or on the broker's end of things, is that we're just pencil pushers and we're sitting behind a desk
Hmm.
and we're, telling people what to do, and we only work, 3 hours a day, and then we can go on vacation and blah blah blah. The last time I went on vacation, I went to Costa Rica. I thought I had backup, and last minute I didn't. So I'm taking calls from customers and I'm booking freight and managing things from the side of a volcano.
Yeah, yeah, right,
Okay.
right.
So, I mean, yeah, I made one video where I was about to leave to go out of town. And there's a bunch of drivers in the comments that are like, at least you get to go. You can too.
You can't too.
Are
Right.
you trying to guilt me about that? Like, I worked to be able to, knowing that when I'm on the road, I'm probably going to be handling stuff while I'm there. I'm not off. There's no part of me that's off. I don't know how to do that. It's in your blood, and and you've built up a name, or I've built up a name where I'll be available. I'll be there if you need something. What else am I doing? This is my livelihood. This is my kids' college. This is retirement. This is food on the table. It saved my life. So the least I can do is answer the phone when somebody needs something moved from point A to point B. But also the least I can do is answer the phone when a driver can't find,
Yeah.
the receiver, or, missed his appointment, but just, needs a little bit of space, cover for him for a little bit. I'll do that. I'll tip you. I'll buy you breakfast. I give bonuses. I had no idea. I made a video like, hey, what's a good bonus? Because I gave this guy a bonus and his gobs were smacked. So what's the best one that you ever got? And they're like, what is that? I had no idea that it's not a common thing. So, um, I need them. I need drivers. We need drivers to see what is behind the scenes so that they don't think that we're just pushing that pencil and typing up an email and making a cold call and then going off to the side of the pool to work off of our laptop or something.
But they need to see that though, because honestly, they need to see both. Because like when I think about that side, because it's everybody can't do, and this is one of the things that I've learned too in my growth, in my journey to where I'm at. And you talked about people sharing your content, people sharing your information, education. One thing I always say is like people can do what you do, but people can't do what you do. So like if
Mm-mm.
I'm going out there and and if a carrier sees inside of your day in a life and what that looks like they can do what you do, but they can't do what you do. Like everybody
Mm-mm.
can't do what you do.
No.
So when I think
And the second that you try to do what I do, I'm already off doing the next thing.
I'm on the next thing because what's for you is for you, and this is for me, and
Right.
I'm already 10 steps ahead of you. And like
Right.
as a owner operator, like where's that competition? And that's where I think also too, from an entrepreneurship standpoint, we've went from that competitive spirit to that entitlement spirit. Like, hey, I am a US business owner. I am entitled to survival. I'm entitled to be great. I'm entitled to success. Man,
Mhm.
90% of the businesses out here fail. What you make you think your business is going to be any different?
Okay.
When you look at the amount of
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
My first job when I graduated college had nothing to do with freight or anything. It was I worked in the corporate office of a restaurant group
Mhm.
up in Manhattan, and um, it was a very high end restaurant. He had several locations in Manhattan on the island itself, but he was expanding out across the country. And so there was one person that I worked with and their task was to find new locations. So I was like, oh, well, if you're looking in this city, I know this city. Why don't you, there's a good spot, yada, yada. And he was like, doesn't meet the criteria of what the CEO wants. And I said, well, what does he want? And he said, he wants to be right across the street from his competition. He wants to be.
Love that.
Right. And I was like, what is that? That's brutal.
I love that.
Same thing with stop looking at the driver parked next to you as your coworker that you would unionize with, that you are in this together to Capitol Hill. That is your competitor. And not everybody wants to see you win. That's not your coworker.
That is not your coworker. And so rapid fire questions for you. I want to talk about tactical takeaways for carriers. So these are rapid fire. So my first question, if you can hand an owner operator a checklist before booking their next load, what would 3 things be on that checklist?
Tracking. If you have a dispatcher, call me regardless of whether or not you have a dispatcher and talk to me just to verify that I am who I am. That shows me that you respect and hold dear your business. And paperwork every step of the way. BOLs, PODs, anything that is relevant to the load. Don't make me chase it. Don't make me go after it. Let this be a well-oiled machine. I want to pay you as soon as possible.
Second question. For carriers struggling with trust, we talked about that earlier with trust and brokers. What's your advice for balancing caution with still staying aggressive and building those relationships?
This is going to surprise you. I don't trust anybody.
Hey, it's business. You're a businesswoman. You're a businesswoman.
I don't mean that in a mean way. Like I'm looking at everybody with suspicion. I've just done this enough where I've worked with great people that have never given me problems any step of the way. And I've worked with really horrible people, and I've been, robbed over time of like 25 grand from a sub-agent. But what I learned from all of that is I don't have to trust anybody.
That's right.
I can trust myself because I know, based on my experience, the lessons that I've learned, and just who I am as a person, that I can handle it. And I know how to fix it. I know how to navigate it. And some things, I know how to prevent things. There's always surprises. So if you're a driver and you're wondering about trust in a broker or even trust in a shipper or a dispatcher, You don't have to. Trust yourself that you're going to be able to handle whatever it is that happens. Don't put that pressure on them. Don't say, oh, you got to prove yourself. Nothing. Let them be who they are. They will show you who they are. And you can trust them to do just that. Doesn't necessarily mean you don't have to use them. You just know how to use them now.
That's right.
Because you know what to do based on your own tools.
That's right. That's right. Last question. Well, third question of the rapid fire. What do you say to a carrier who's been burned and ready to quit? How do they reset and keep going and make the decision to just, hey, you know what? Deuces, I'm out.
There's no shame in quitting. There's no shame in stopping what doesn't serve you. I think that it is I think that it's indoctrination that is put in your head that you have to keep on pushing through, just fight harder, sacrifice a little bit more, and when you look at it that way, you see who has been testing you to see how far they can go with you, or see how much you will take before you break. And as long as you're not breaking, they're going to keep on doing it. So whether or not you are trying to figure out a way to stay in the industry or figure out a way to get out of it, you have to set your boundaries and decide for yourself how far is too far, how far is comfortable, because those 2 points are not the same. Do I want to just be making it in this industry, and will that be satisfactory? Or do I want to be thriving and profitable and able to grow? And am I willing to just keep it at this threshold here until things get better? And what will be my indicators that things are getting better? Because at some point you have to stop the bleeding. But you are also not going to continuously put money into a stock or a share in the stock market, whatever, if it's constantly losing money. At some
Right.
point, you realize
Start to bleed.
that money's gone. You're not getting it back.
Yeah,
It's already been spent. It's just walk away from it
that's right.
and find a way to make your money. Find a way to survive and pay your bills and be happy in life. But there's no shame in quitting and stopping what doesn't serve you. That just means you know what your boundaries are.
That's right.
And that is really, really attractive,
That's right.
not just in business, but as a human being.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. With my last question, as we wrap up, most of your day, you mentioned that, it's starting to become more and more of the dominating part of what you do and what you deal with is vetting fraud. And you talked about that because that takes away from your ability to go out, build pipelines, work on sales, build relationships, work on capacity. And then you also spend a lot of that time coaching your shippers on how to navigate around fraud and really kind of educating them. And you're educated by drivers as well under that same perspective. Like, hey, I'm learning that from myself. So one of the things is that from the broker side, what do you wish every small carrier knew about spotting red flags before accepting a load?
Um, get a domain.
Website.
Stop with the, just do it. It's so cheap.
Yeah.
Get a domain, no Outlook, no Yahoo, no Gmail, nothing like that. I mean, it is what it is. We have to vet that, but I think that you have to be as invested in your business as this broker is in their freight. Okay. So if that means that you're going to keep everything on the up and up, insurance, I am really leery or like skeptical of insurance that expires within the next 30 days.
Really?
Because, yeah, I was just talking about this. I had a colleague that had a lane for years with this customer, picking up from the port in California, going to Chicago. And it was electronics, had the same driver do it. He got him loaded there and loaded back each week. And one day, the receiver said, "Hey, we're missing so many." And over the last like month and a half or so, it's just been a few pallets on the truck. And we're supposed to be getting, 27 pallets, 23 pallets,
Right.
whatever. So are they backlogged? Are they short? What's going on? And he's like, "No, I'm sending all of them." So this driver or this trucking company was planning on going out of business. They were not renewing their insurance. They were just going to let it all go. And they just decided they were going to get a lick their last 30 days. So they would take the truck from the port, bring it up to another place. I think he said it was like Huntington Beach, and offload the truck, doctor the BOL, send all these things down to Texas and sell them off. And then just a few pallets up to Chicago. And of course, the receiver is signing it because it says 3 pallets, 4 pallets, 1 pallet, whatever. And that's what they got. But the communication between a shipper and a receiver, making sure the receiver sees that BOL as well to know what was actually sent and what you are now receiving, that has evolved as well. So now everybody is on the same page with that. But if you have paid entirely or in full your insurance for a year and you still have a few months to go, I know you're still invested in your business.
Right.
Something so simple, get a sign, get it wrapped on your truck. Don't get the sticky
You mean not
stuff.
the tape up stuff that you can put like cardboard and write on a magic marker? You mean nothing like that?
Nothing like that. And not the magnets either. Those things fly off. If it's raining, it loses, the potency of the magnets. It's going to fly right off and then you're in trouble. Invest in putting your name on the side of your truck. A lot of the front line of the fraud prevention falls in the hands of the shippers themselves, because I can do my entire due diligence and a driver can do their entire due diligence. But if that shipper is not vetting it and not seeing that everything matches, then you can do everything under the sun and they're still going to find a way to make it rain.
Right.
And so you have to get your shippers on board. That is a key part of it. They rely on you, and if you have that relationship with a shipper, regardless of if you're going direct or going through brokers, if you have that kind of relationship with your shipper, you have to assume that at some point they're going to blindly trust whoever it is that you send in,
Sure.
because you've never let them down before.
Yeah.
And that causes complacency, which opens the door for fraud in new ways that we haven't even thought of yet. Because everything that we have in place right now is just reactive to what's already happened. If you peel back the layers of it, more than likely, they're already working on the next thing that we haven't even heard of, and we're not even anticipating.
Yeah.
And so that's why I like to be analytical and an overthinker in that way, because I like to immediately ask why. Why is it this way? Because what's it going to affect? What's the outcome of this going to be? And what's that look like for me? What's it look like for my customer?
Right.
Any kind of deviation from normal ways of doing things, I'm always asking why. And it just doesn't hurt to make an extra phone call.
That's right.
You know, you see brokers on social media, or you see them on LinkedIn, and they're talking about all the free time that they have, and, you know, oh, we did this and we got it done so quick, so easy, love my customers, all of that. Take 5 minutes, make a phone call, make an extra phone call. Because again, you're seeing all the shiny stuff, but you don't know if that load was stolen. You don't know if that was double brokered. You don't know any of that. You don't know if that driver disabled macro point right after you made that video or made that status. And now you're wondering where that load is. You don't know any of it. So take everything that you see at face value, and regardless of what you think other people should be doing, do what is best for your business and what is going to protect it. For drivers, call a broker. I know you hate talking to us. We don't want you to have to, but just call us. It's part of your business. It's part of doing business, because we're going to call you and make sure that this dispatcher is actually working with you. This MC number, you know who it is that the broker is on this shipment. We're going to make sure that you know, so you know how to get your money when all is said and done. And just stop relying on other people to care more about your business than you do. Period.
Man. Annique, if anybody wanted to, as a carrier, wanted to come on and say, hey, I want to do business with Small World Ventures, how would they do so? How would they connect with you to have discussions or potentially partner with you?
Okay, so I have a link tree in all of my socials. And in that link tree, there is a link to get signed on as a carrier with me. There's also the actual Armstrong load board that they can see. If you are a partner with Armstrong, then you'll be able to see what's available to you. There's a link to that in that link tree. There's also an option to schedule a 30-minute consultation with me. And you can see all the fun things that are going on, like Broker Carrier Summit, Truck Parking Club, to get a discount on your parking. And that's where you can find me.
Wow, this has been an awesome, as I knew it would be, an awesome, thought-provoking conversation, and it was one that I was looking forward to, and it definitely didn't disappoint. And big thanks to you for joining us and bringing that full story to the table, because I know that people needed to hear that. If you ever been as a carrier burned by fraud, if you struggle with brokers, or if you ever wondered how to make this industry feel like a hustle and more like a partnership, I hope you caught something today that you can use and you can share out. Remember, fraud prevention isn't about systems, it's about paying attention, it's about being understanding. Broker carrier relationships aren't just about contracts, they're about trust. And change in this industry just won't come from regulators, it will come from people like us stepping up, being transparent, having conversations, and most importantly, choosing to do business the right way. So definitely take an advice, open your eyes, look for the red flags, and remember the people who play the long game will always win in the end. So Do me a favor, if you got anything, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hook us up. Make sure you share this out to several people, and then go to www.freightwaves.com/playbook and sign up for the newsletter if you had any value. Until the next time, this is the long haul where we don't just talk trucking, we talk 100% truth. Thank you so much for joining us today, Annique.
So, Adam, thank you so much for having me. I was really looking forward to it, and it didn't disappoint, and it was just a great conversation. So thank you so much.
I hope that, we connect soon. And if you're a carrier and you're headed up to the Broker Carrier Summit, make sure you pull it to the side and have a conversation and have a cup of coffee, and do not come with entitlement. We'll see you on the next one. All right, take care, everybody.